Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Sunday afternoon.
Sunday
Sunday
afternoon
afternoon.
with
Yeah,
killers.
it's
With killers.
a little weird time to go.
hmm Sunny
I,
afternoon.
it is sunny. It's like
Mm-hmm.
50 degrees and sunny,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not very many clouds in the sky. It's a nice day today.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I got
Yeah.
to work this afternoon.
Oh, sorry about that. When here we are, getting
Yeah,
ready to talk about killings.
yeah.
Terrible.
JonBenet Ramsey.
Yeah,
Been a
they.
long time coming. We were supposed to do
Mm,
it last month, but work. So
yeah,
we
I
had to
know.
push it to this month.
Best laid plans, but we're doing it. This
Yeah, we
first
are.
episode. We're gonna
Uh,
follow it all the way through. It's a big case. There's a
It
lot of
is.
stuff.
There's a lot of stuff to it.
And still unsolved and lots of controversy. Like there's a lot of controversy about stuff on this one.
There's all kinds of stuff in this one.
hmm
So how you doing, Claire?
I'm good. It's a Sunday. It's the end of the week. I got everything ready for next week. I'm good. I feel good.
So give you a little bit of a timeline what's going to be going on here. So today we're going to be covering the family and the lead up to the event. So this show may run a little bit longer than an hour. Um, but we're typically going to try to keep these shows to about an hour. This one we knew was going to probably run a little long because there's a lot of stuff to cover in the first episode. Next tomorrow, we'll be going over the
Yep.
911 call
10
um,
o'clock.
and dissecting that and going through that. And then next Sunday we will be doing the ransom note.
hmm
And then the following Monday we will be going over what happened that morning. Go through
Right.
step by step with the
Yep. The
um,
morning timeline, the
yeah, the
whole
morning
day.
timeline.
Yep.
Yep.
hmm
And then after that we'll go over the autopsy report. And then
hmm
from there we'll go from there. So we got the next few episodes figured out what we're going to be doing. I
Look at us all organized. This is not normal.
know
I don't
what's
know
up with
what
that.
happened. Yeah, what's happening with you, Jay? Because like you did it. Like usually I do that. But what's going on, Jay? Hmm I don't know. Maybe you have been having some cold pizza. Did
No,
you have
no, 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 no. I do not like
coffee?
cold pizza. There's no
Nope, nope.
coffee, no cold pizza.
I'm with you, Raven. I could eat cold pizza. I like hot pizza, but there's nothing wrong with cold pizza. I mean, college. Hello, you know, uh, you know,
Ugh.
breakfast. Early morning class, breakfast of champions. Cold pizza. Come on.
Now just pop it in the microwave for a minute, warm it up just so
Yeah.
it's not cold.
Yeah. Well, college, like no microwave, Jay. Like, Mm.
Oh, now see, I like left warmed up leftover pizza. Yeah,
Oh
Krabby says Jay
no.
saving us from a boring Sunday afternoon.
You don't even like it warmed up always, only fresh? Oh well. I knew there would be a day when we would have something that we didn't have in common, and this is it. It's the pizza. It's Pizzagate. Oh my god. It's Pizzagate. Kim and I are gonna be oh no. Because usually we agree about just about like a lot of stuff. But
So, I guess you want to get into this.
yes, I do actually. I really, really do.
Let's
Let
get into this.
us let's pull up that thing. You want to start reading?
Yep,
And
I'll
then
start it out.
just tell me when you want to call. I will follow along and tell me when you want me to
All
cut
right.
in.
So, in the early morning hours of December 26, 1996, John and Patsy Ramsey awoke to find their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenet, missing from her bed at their home in Boulder, Colorado. Patsy and John had woken up early to prepare for a trip when Patsy discovered a ransom note on the stairs demanding $118,000 for the daughter's safe return. Now, just to give you a heads up, little spoilers coming up. There is a significant reason why they believe that it was set up for $118,000, but you're going to have to wait until we actually cover the ransom note for that one. So we're going to start off. We're going to go through, we're going to talk about the family and give some background stuff on each of the family members. And then we're going to go through a timeline of significant events leading up to what happened that morning. So we're going to start off, of course, as you see on the screen, we have JonBenet. JonBenet was born August 6, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia, the younger of two children to Patsy and John Ramsey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she had an older brother named Burke, who was born in 87. JonBenet's first name is a combination of her father's first and middle names. His name was JonBenet Ramsey. And her mother's first name was used as her middle name, so Patsy. Patsy Ramsey entered JonBenet in various beauty pageants in Boulder, where she won titles of like the America's Miss Royal Miss, Little Miss Charlevoix, Little Miss Colorado, Colorado State All-Star Kids Cover Girl, and the National Tiny Miss Beauty. So we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about John. Get this going here. So, John Ramsey was born in Lincoln, Nebraska, the son of Mary Jane Nee Bennett and James Dudley J. Ramsey. John's father was a decorated World War II pilot. He attended Okemos High School in Michigan. In 1966, John graduated from Michigan State University with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and he earned his master's degree in business administration from MSU in 1971. John joined the Navy in 1966, serving as a civil engineer, corps officer in the Philippines for 3 years, and in Atlanta Reserve until for an additional 8 years. He married Lucinda Posh in 1966. They had 3 children, and then the couple divorced in 1978. One of John's 3 children with Lucinda was John Andrew Ramsey. His elder sister Elizabeth, we'll be talking in just a second, was killed in a car accident in 92. I bring this in because we'll talk more about John Andrews. There's some speculation at first with John that we'll see when we start going over the list of suspects and whatnot. That kind of was a little weird. I don't understand why they thought he may had anything to do with it, but you'll understand when we go through that. He would be with his other sister and mom in Atlanta, Georgia, and was planning to see JonBenet and the rest of the family in Michigan and their trip to Charlevoix on the 26th. So at this time, as you can see, he wasn't even in the state. He was in Georgia at the time. They were in Colorado. Like I said, there's not a lot of history. John Andrew is kind of a he's the older brother, part of the family, but not really kind of part of this family. Elizabeth Posh Ramsey was one of John's other children when he was first married to Lucinda. She worked as a flight attendant for Delta Airlines before she died at the age of 22. Her official cause of death was cited as multiple injuries that she occurred during a car crash in 92. By all accounts, it was a freak accident. Her boyfriend lost control of the car in a rainstorm and was hit by a truck. However, now this is important because after JonBenet's death, investigators pulled her autopsy report off the chance there was a link to her death and murder of JonBenet, but there was no connection with the 2 deaths ever found. I never understood that one. I didn't understand why they would think a car accident would be linked to JonBenet's death. I don't know. So John married his second wife, Patsy Poe, in 1980, and then they had the children Burke and JonBenet. In 1989, John formed the Advanced Project Group, one of 3 companies that merged to become Access Graphics. He became the president and CEO of Access Graphics, a computer service company and subsidiary of Lockheed Martin. In 96, Access Graphics had grossed over $1 billion, and Ramsey was named Entrepreneur of the Year by the Boulder Chamber of Commerce. Immediately following the murder of his daughter, he was temporarily replaced so the company didn't have to bother him about business matters as he grieved. This was according to Lockheed Martin spokesman Evan McCollum, but he did return to his job within a few weeks. Ramsey, along with his wife Patsy and young son Burke, moved back to Atlanta shortly after the murder. Access Graphics was later sold to GE in 97. His net worth was reported at $6.4 million as of May 1st, 1996, prior to his daughter's murder. After his wife's death, John met Beth Holloway, mother of missing woman Natalie Holloway. It was reported the two had begun dating. However, Ramsey played down the relationship, stating they developed a friendship of respect and admiration out of the common interests related to their children. After JonBenet was killed and the family moved to Charlevoix, and after JonBenet was killed, the family moved back to Charlevoix, Michigan. In 2004, John Ramsey announced his candidacy for the Republican nomination for the seat in the Michigan State House, although John narrowly missed his election bid, with Kevin Eisenheimer edging him out by just 3 percentage points. He then
Mhm.
relocated to Moab, Utah, where he met his third wife, Jan Rousseau, in 2011, and then they married, which, excuse me, they later
They,
married and then relocated back to Michigan.
yeah. You want me to read Patsy for you?
Yeah, so you want to
Yeah. Let's
go
take
with
over,
Patsy
Patrick.
here?
Yeah. So Patricia Ramsey was born in Parkersburg, West Virginia, the daughter of Nedra Ellen Ann Nee Reimer and Donald Ray Poe, an engineer and manager at Union Carbide. She graduated from Parkersville High School in 1975. She attended West Virginia University, where she belonged to the Alpha Phi Delta sorority, and from which she graduated with a BA in journalism in 1978. She won the Miss West Virginia Beauty title in 1977. Her sister, Pamela Ellen Poe, won the Miss West Virginia title at age 24 in 1980. Patsy was 23 when she married businessman John Ramsey on November 5th of 1980. He had 3 children from his first marriage to Lucinda Posh from 1966 to 1978, which had ended in divorce. Patsy and John's son Burke Ramsey was born on January 27, 1987. She gave birth to their second child, daughter JonBenet, on August 6 of 1990 in Atlanta. The family moved to Boulder, Colorado in 1991 for her husband's business. Starting from when her daughter was young, Patsy entered her in children's beauty contests, and she won some titles before the age of 6. Patsy Ramsey was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer in 1993 at age 36. After treatment, she was in remission for 9 years until a recurrence in 2002. Patsy Ramsey died from ovarian cancer at age 49 on June 24th of 2006. She died at her father's house with her husband by her side. Ramsey is buried at St. James Episcopal Cemetery in Marietta, Georgia, next to JonBenet. Now, this is their son, Burke.
Yeah, Burke is next.
Burke Ramsey was born in 1987 and was 9 at the time of his sister's death. Burke had been accused of killing his sister, but was later cleared. 2 decades after his sister's death and 10 years after Mom Patsy died of ovarian cancer, Burke told Dr. Phil he's speaking out because I want to honor JonBenet's memory. I don't want anyone to forget. He quotes, "For a long time, the media made our lives crazy," he told Dr. Phil via the New York Daily News. "It's hard to miss the cameras and news trucks in your front yard. We'd go to the supermarket. Sometimes there'd be a tabloid with my picture or JonBenet's picture plastered on the front. Seeing that as a little kid is just kind of chaotic nightmare. So I was very skeptical of any media, like it just made me a very private person." McGraw said Burke knew media attention would intensify as the 20th anniversary of his sister's death approached. His thinking was, if that's going to happen, I want to control the narrative. "I guess I kind of wanted to make it about remembering her and not just another news story," Burke said. Burke told Dr. Phil that he didn't react much when he was initially told that his sister was missing. "I guess I kind of like to avoid conflict," he said via ABC News. "I guess part of me doesn't want to know what's going on." As chaos erupted around him, Burke said he remained in bed. "The first thing I remember is my mom bursting into my room, really frantic, saying, 'Oh my gosh, running around my room," he said. "I remember her saying, 'Where's my baby? Where's my baby?' I just laid there and didn't really know what else to do." Eventually, John broke the terrible news to his son, and Burke recalled that moment too. "My dad told me JonBenet is in heaven now," and he started crying. Then I started crying. Patsy and John rallied against the absurdity of accusing or even submitting for questioning their son over the murder of his sister. In a 2016 A&E documentary called The Killing of JonBenet, The Truth Uncovered, John said, via People, the accusation that Burke somehow was this violent 9-year-old, 60-pound child, and he bashed in JonBenet's head, and that Patsy and I staged the whole thing to protect him, is laughable. I know people think I did it, that my parents did it, Burke told Dr. Phil. I know that we were suspects. That theory blows my mind, he said via Bustle. You won't find any evidence because that's not what happened. Burke noted, there's been a few people who've said it's not even physically possible for a 9-year-old to do that. Burke also dismissed claims that Patsy may have penned the ransom note found in their home. Though he said he'd never read the entire letter, he had seen pictures of the handwriting and thought it was too sloppy to have been written by his mom. She would always bug me about good handwriting, and she would make me rewrite stuff to have good handwriting, he told Dr. Phil. We are going to go through a timeline of the events leading up to JonBenet's death. Oh.
So before we go into the timeline, because there are some significant things we're going to go through on this timeline, things that are going to stand out as kind of important and kind of questioning. But I do want to bring up, I will admit, when I first heard about this case, I thought the brother did it.
Did you?
I did, until I realized he was 9 years old. And then I'm like, there's no way.
Right. I mean, he's young. And beautiful girl getting all that attention. I know that children are jealous of each other and things like that, but I can't imagine it getting that far, and without anybody knowing that there was tension. Because I don't believe there was a lot of testimony about people saying he acted up towards his sister at any other time. So why would they just think that,
like I said, when I thought he was like 16, 17 years old. I didn't realize he was only 9 at the time. So as soon as I heard that, I immediately was like, okay, no, he couldn't have done it. Mm-hmm. But there were people out there that really thought that he did it. Mm-hmm.
But both of these children are delicate. Like, he was a 9-year-old, but he was a small 9-year-old for a boy. He wasn't a big one.
Yeah. Now there was another reason I put this timeline in here with Burke, with his interview with Dr. Phil, because some people were saying that he was smiling a lot during the interview. Well, you got to think about what's going on here. He's talking about this horrible thing that happened to his family, and for a lot of people, it's a tough thing to go through. Some people react different. Not everybody is going to be somber and crying their heads out. Some people are going to try to. The best way to say it is fake it till you make it. They're going to do everything they can to stop from breaking down. So, it is completely normal for someone to be smiling during an interview like this, because he didn't smile through the entire thing. It wasn't like he was laughing and joking but there were times when he would smile. But yeah, it's a coping mechanism. So I didn't think there was anything to warrant that type of response that a lot of people gave. But a lot of people said, well, see, that right there, is proof that he had something to do with it.
No.
He was uncomfortable.
No, I have a brother who, anytime he gets nervous, no matter what's going on, he giggles and he smiles, regardless of what's going on. It's just the way he reacts to stress, with a little, it's like a tick. So he's not guilty of it. My brother wasn't guilty of everything that ever happened in our house.
Yeah.
He didn't steal all the cookies or, break all the dishes. He didn't do that. But anytime anybody, there was tension, he would giggle and he'd get nervous. It's a tick,
So we are going to go through the timeline events, and we're going to talk about some of these a little bit more in detail, because some of these are going to pop up that are worth noting. Now, the first one, what we're going to talk about, happened in 1994, and who was it? Shay had said that he hit her with a golf club about 2 weeks before that. Actually, it was 2 years.
Yeah, it is. It's 2 years before, right?
It
But
was
they,
1990.
yeah.
Burke hit JonBenet in the cheek with a golf club, which was a complete accident. He was out from what I read. He was out playing with the golf clubs, and she kind of walked into it. So it wasn't an on-purpose thing.
Right.
It was said that it wasn't out of being mean or upset, but she did have to have some plastic surgery to fix the scar that was left from the hit. In December of '94, the Ramseys' home was listed as an historic home tour with approximately 1,500 people will tour the house. Now, this right here is setting the stage, because you're going to see as we continue to go along this timeline that there are a lot of people that come through this house.
There is a lot of
people end up coming through this house over the next 2 years, from December '94 to December '96. So in April of '95, 4-year-old JonBenet wins her first pageant as a Colorado All-State Kids.
Right.
So now you know that we're going to start. This is the point where her time in the spotlight starts to take off. In October of '95, JonBenet was crowned the Little Miss Colorado Sunburst, and John was the winner of the Entrepreneur Distinction Awards. Now we're bringing more things to the light with the family.
Baby, this family was in the spotlight. Like, there was people paying attention. I mean, this is a well-to-do family. They've got a lot going on. There's a lot of light on it. There's awards. There's articles being written. There's press going on, right? Because of all the pageants and things like that. So they're in the news. I mean, they're well known in the area, obviously. You know. Patsy was, and so was John, and then the children. So
Claire, you want to take this next one, April '96?
Okay, in April 1996, an issue of Women's Magazine profiled Patsy as a woman formerly involved in a successful career in advertising, as well as other ventures, choosing to abandon the career for what some would consider an unexciting lifestyle was an easy decision. Being a mother and mentor to my children is the most important role I will play in my life, she says. It is certainly the most difficult job I'll ever have. For Ramsey, her husband John, and their own children, Burke, 9, and JonBenet, 5, and her stepchildren, Melinda and John Andrew, the decision has been an ideal one and has led to the family's overall well-being. It's a big job to be a full-time wife and mother, says Ramsey. The logistics of it all in the 90s can be overwhelming. It's an even more difficult challenge for women with careers, as they still find themselves intuitively doing the mom's job as well. Realistically, Ramsey goes on, women still have 2 to 3 jobs. Many have full-time jobs as well as shouldering the majority of the responsibility for their children. We really can't give 100% in so many different areas, and often something suffers. Many times it's the woman's health. We're so busy taking care of others, children, husbands, parents, that we don't take enough time to care for ourselves. Ramsey herself was raised with 2 sisters in a typically traditional household in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Her formative years were greatly influenced by her upbringing. The household was full of closeness and love, and the girls' father worked outside the home while their mother did not. Extended family activities were spent with their grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins on weekends. And there was a photo of Patsy inserted there. Ramsey moved to Atlanta, Georgia, soon after her graduation from West Virginia University. With her bachelor's degree in advertising and marketing, Ramsey began her career with McCann Erickson Advertising Agency, where she focused on doing promotional marketing for Coca-Cola USA. Later, she joined Hayes Microcomputer Products, Inc. as Director of Marketing Services and worked there for 5 years developing user-friendly product instruction manuals. One of the software manuals Ramsey was responsible for won first place in an international technical writing competition. Her job with Hayes also put her in charge of special events, trade shows, and in-house advertising. Since relocating to Boulder from Atlanta in 1990, Ramsey's family has continued to be very important to her. In 1993, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, an illness she has since learned runs in her family. It has been Ramsey's personal strength, powerful love of family, and deep sense of faith in the divine healing that enabled her to stay the course through 9 months of chemotherapy treatments at the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda, Maryland. During Ramsey's battle with cancer, her mother came to live with the family in Boulder for a year. Coincidentally, Ramsey recalls, my mother had just retired 2 days before my diagnosis from a full-time job that she had enjoyed for several years after her children were grown, just in time to be a full-time mom again. She not only took care of me, but she helped John take care of our children as well. We couldn't have gotten along without her. Because Ramsey's father works with John at Access Graphics in Boulder, he was also close during that time, and the family had many friends who offered their support as well. Even though we had only lived in Boulder a short time, our friends and neighbors came to our rescue with prepared meals, and they drove the kids to school and piano lessons. They gave us an overwhelming amount of moral support. We were surely blessed. Even as everyone around her was so wonderful to her children, says Ramsey, I knew that ultimately they were my real reason to fight the cancer and live. No one can take care of my kids and do the things I want to do with them the way I can. And I plan to be around for a long time to see them through.
Now, the reason I put that part of because the actual article is actually quite long on this
Mm-hmm.
breakdown of Patsy. I just wanted to put that in because when we actually get into the ransom note, we're going to go deep dive more into John's career because there is some things there that speak to his job performance. So we're going to, when we come to that part with the ransom note, we'll dig more. But I wanted to put this in here so we get to know who Patsy was more than just a short little blurb, because she was, by all accounts, 100% devoted to her children, and the especially with the cancer treatment, because she did spend some time in Charlevoix, also not just in Bethesda, um, during her with her cancer stage. So it was important that we get to know Patsy a little better, um, because that may help you understand some things that happen later on when we actually get into the story itself. So in July of '96, JonBenet won America's Royal Tiny Miss pageant. In August of '96, she came in second in the Sunburst National pageant. Now we're getting closer to that day. So in November 30th, 96, John holds a surprise party for Patsy's 40th birthday, even though her birthday was in December. Now, this wasn't held at the home, but it was held at the Marriott, I believe. And it was believed that there was close to 300 people at
Mm-hmm.
this birthday party. So there's a lot more people, around
Mm-hmm.
the family and around the kids.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
December 13th, 1996, a big holiday party was thrown with over 100 people from their closest family to their close church friends. This was held at their house. Now, during this point between December 13th and Christmas, there's quite a few parties so just bear with us here. So in December of '96, JonBenet was crowned Little Colorado Miss Christmas, one of the largest pageants that she's ever attended. And so there's more spotlight. Now in the 20th of December '96, Access Graphics held a party with over 200 employees. And at the same time that was happening, JonBenet and Patsy were at her school where she performed at a Christmas pageant type
Mm-hmm.
thing, where the little kids up on stage and they
Right.
singing the
Right.
songs.
Mm-hmm.
So the 22nd of December of '96, JonBenet is in a beauty pageant in the Southwest Plaza Mall, the one where the famous one where
Where
she
she's
sings "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree."
right, and
Um,
that clip is everywhere.
that
And she
clip is
was, yeah,
everywhere.
right, right, right.
So
You
that
know.
one is another big one because there was a lot of people there at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
So in late
Mm-hmm.
December '96, they sent out a Christmas letter. It says, "Dear friends and family, it's been another busy year at the Ramsey household. Can't believe it's almost over and time to start again. Melinda graduated from medical school in Georgia and is working in pediatric ICU in Keystone Hospital in Atlanta. John Andrew is a sophomore at the University of Colorado. Burke is busy fourth grader where he really shines in math and spelling. He played flag football this fall and is currently on the basketball binge. His little league team was number one. He's lost just about all of his baby teeth, so I'm sure we'll be seeing an orthodontist in 97. JonBenet is enjoying her first year in real school. Kindergarten in the core knowledge program is fast paced and 5 full days a week. She has already been moved ahead to the first grade math. She continues to enjoy participating in talent and modeling pageants. Sorry, she was named America's Royale Tiny Miss last summer and is Colorado Little Miss Christmas. Her teacher says she is so outgoing that she'll never have trouble delivering an oral book report. John is always on the go, traveling hither and yon. Access recently celebrated its $1 billion mark in sales. He's pretty happy. He and his crew were underway in the Port Huron to Mackinac Island yacht race in July, but had to pull out midway due to lack of wind. Can you believe that?
Mhm. Yeah, that's
But his real love is the new old-looking boat, the Grand Season, which he spent months designing. I spend most of my free time working in the school and doing volunteer work. The Charlevoix house was on the home tour in July and will likely appear in one of the Better Homes and Garden publications in 97. On a recent trip to NYC, my friends and I appeared amid the throng of fans on the Today Show. Al Roker and Brian Gumbel actually talked to us, and we were on camera for a few fleeting moments. We're all enjoying continued good health and looking forward to seeing you in 97. One final note, thank you to all my friends and my dear husband for surprising me with the biggest, most outrageous 40th birthday party I've ever had. We'll be spending my actual birthday on the Disney Big Red Boat over the new year. Merry Christmas and much love, the Ramseys. So this is, I know it's a thing some people do, but if somebody gets a hold of one of these things, there was speculations that maybe one of who did it had gotten a hold of this and learned some things about the family. So they were learning, where they've been, who they talked to. It can actually be used. Something like this can actually be used in a bad light.
Yeah. Because they're really out there. They're popular. Everybody knows their movements. There are pageants all over. They're singing. They're having parties. There's lots of people exposed. There's this letter that goes out to everybody. Like, think of his company. Think of her big job, too. Like, what she had. They all have associates. There had to be hundreds and hundreds of people that got this letter. And it could get exposed, anywhere. But they weren't very private. They're very outgoing public people. Like, everybody knows what's going on with them all the time. Yeah.
So you want to take December 23rd?
I shall. Okay. So on December 23rd, 1996, the Ramseys hold a Christmas party with about 30 guests.
Another Christmas party.
They are some partying. Like, they love the holidays. They love the holidays. They're just one party after another. The whole, damn, like, wow. It's just one big festive thing going on all week. At 6:47 p.m., someone at the property placed a 911 call and hung up without saying anything. When the police called back, no one answered. Because of that, an officer was dispatched to the home and arrived at 6:54 p.m., was let in and left at 7:09 p.m. after deeming nothing wrong. There is a theory that someone at the home was testing the response time of the Colorado PD, but could also be a child called for fun, then didn't cop to it.
Now, before you grab the next part, that actually is one of the going theories in this story is that there one of the party guests, the 30 people, that is probably the one responsible. Guest. And then that 911 call was legit someone testing the response time, how long it would take for the PD to get there in case, that they're going to do this and they get caught and they got to call the cops. How much time do they have?
I wonder how much of all the 30 people who were there, how much interviewing they did of each one.
Oh, there were thousands of interviews.
I mean, I know they have all of them. They talk to everybody
Mm-hmm.
casually. They have the lists of everybody who was there. They have the list of everybody who was at every party. Like this
Mm-hmm.
had so much media play. This didn't go away. Like, they were working double time on all of this, and everybody pushing them in all different directions with all kinds of theories, trying to get it resolved. But just like anything, the more theories you put out there, the more possibilities, the less you get to drill down to like what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different directions this could have went in. There's so many different people involved. It is, and the lack of physical evidence to tie them to any one particular person is disheartening. But all right, so it is said that JonBenet gave Bill McReynolds a gift, who played Santa at the party, and he said that of all the times he had played Santa, it was the only time he received a gift. December 24th, 1996, during the day, JonBenet was playing at a friend's house and told her friend's mother about a secret visit from Santa. She tells the mother it's not going to be the traditional visit. It will be after Christmas. It would set off anything wrong for the till a few days later.
Yeah, that's my bad writing. It wouldn't. It should say it wouldn't set off any alarms.
All right,
anything was wrong until a few days later.
Right, it didn't set anything off until a few days later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's I just want to say something before we jump to 9 p.m. Here is one of the most popular theories, and one I'm kind of behind here. And not saying it was Bill, but it was one of the Santas
at one of the Christmas parties.
At one of the Christmas parties, because JonBenet telling her friend's mom that she'll be getting a visit from Santa after Christmas.
Right.
Kind of stands out. Yeah, it's a little creepy.
To me, it leads more to the Santas that were at the pageants, were at the shows that she did. There was a Santa at every one of those shows.
Now, I can tell you that Bill McReynolds was cleared from the DNA test, so he was not.
Yeah, and he was cooperative.
Yeah,
I mean, he loved his child. He loved the family. He was cooperative. He gave as many interviews as they wanted. He never turned anything down, and he gave his DNA up willingly.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, if you're worried about it, I doubt you'd be doing that, right?
Yeah. Like, so we can rule out Bill McReynolds as that Santa, but not. It might have been a different Santa. That she was talking about that she had visited from somewhere else.
Exactly. And there were so many other Santas, believe me. Like, it's Christmas time and they're having parties all over the place, and she's doing pageants and shows, and they always have a Santa involved. So who knows? Or just somebody who said he was going to be Santa, for after the who knows? Okay. So you want to go?
Yeah, I'll take this because I got something I want to talk about here.
Okay.
So around 9 p.m. on December 24th, John retrieves a bike from his friend's home and puts it under the tree and retrieves the presents from the basement and him and Patsy retrieve the other presents from the basement to the rest of the hidden gifts. Now, one of the reasons that's put in there is because that's where JonBenet was found, was in the basement. Now, remember, this is December 24th. She was found on the 26th, but she was there all day the 25th. So that part's not relevant. But it's the size of the basement. The basement is a large basement with multiple rooms. So to be able to hide something from the kids down in the basement wasn't that hard to do. And is one of the reasons when we actually get to the crime scene, why it was so hard for them to actually find JonBenet, because one of the rooms she was in the basement. So I put that in there to give you a preview of why when we go into the crime scene, why at first they didn't notice her at first in the basement. Because it's not like you just walk down and there's one big room, and there was multiple rooms down in this basement. Some of them were just small, barely big enough to put some stuff in, but I think they said that the basement itself is like 1,500 square feet. In the basement of this house. So you can go ahead and take the next two.
Okay, so I'm at noon? I'm at December 25th
December
now?
25th, yeah.
Okay, so December 25th, 1996, around 6 a.m., the parents wake up and do the normal family Christmas. Noon, December 25th, John goes and checks on the plane for the trip they are to take on the 26th. In the 5 p.m. hour, the family leaves to a friend's house for a Christmas party.
Another
Then,
Christmas party.
no. I want, you know what? I want this kind of Christmas, man. Just one. All right. Then, when leaving, they drop off presents to friends and arrive home around 9:30 p.m. John puts JonBenet to bed and then plays games with Burke. Patsy says she last seen JonBenet in her bed around 10 p.m. John claims he took a sleeping aid before going to bed, which has been reported as a normal thing. Both John and Patsy are in bed around 10:30 p.m. and don't wake up until the morning.
Now, before we go farther, there is some speculations on what actually happened here, because the time frame is a little skewy between what John initially says about him putting JonBenet to bed about 10.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Patsy said it wasn't until about 10:30 that they were put to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. It's like you're not really paying attention to the time. You know,
Right.
there's nothing going on. So it has been noted that was part of they can't keep their time line straight.
It is. But when your child is missing and you're going through the normal routine, how many of us, when you're getting a child ready for bed and you have children home, how many of you are looking at the clock at the exact time you put that kid on the bed? Like, it's a whole process and you're all doing it. Plus, your partner's on the other side of the house or whatever and not involved in it. And then she sees you 20 minutes later, so she thinks that's when you did it because you said, hey, I just put the kid to bed. And it was 20 minutes ago. Like, it is, you know, not that I'm just saying it's so easy to get those. It's only 30 minutes, by the way. It is 30. It's not even enough to do like everything. Come on. Like, no, like it's not that bad of a thing. 30 minutes between couple. They're already upset. They're getting questioned after their child is gone. And if they can't keep a timeline straight within 30 minutes, I mean, bless them. You know, I don't know how I could. So I can give them grace on how that could have happened.
Yeah. But a lot of people are like, well, they can't even figure out what time, you know, they put their kid to bed. How do they know what time they got up in the morning, or how can they, you know?
But they're all estimates anyway. No one's saying it's exact. I'm sure they're not going, it was exactly 10:30. I swear. I'm sure that's not how they're talking. They're saying, I think it was around here. It looks to me like I'm looking back and I'm trying to remember, and I'm guesstimating, I'm estimating. It's around this time.
Yeah, it was around 10:30. You know, it's not like they're like, well, I put her to bed at 10:16 and 30 seconds.
Exactly.
You know? It's just an estimated time frame.
Exactly. You know, hey, Juju. Hey.
Yeah,
hi,
Juju says, I don't know what time I woke up today or went to bed last night.
Or went to bed. I'm with you. Like, I can give them a little bit of grace there because, like, I mean, just think of the pressure they're under also and how they're grieving. You know, it's like there are no exact. I mean, real killers who are actually doing this can't even keep timelines straight. I don't know how you expect grieving parents to. I really don't. But all right. So
now this next part, we're just gonna read this first line, and then there's something I want to talk about with this first part. So go ahead.
All right. So just one sentence, right?
Okay. Just that one sentence.
Around midnight, a neighbor looking out his kitchen window says a kitchen light was on in the Ramsey's house.
Now, that is important here because one of the theories is that JonBenet got hungry and went down to the kitchen and got some pineapple. Now, why that's significant is because that pineapple was actually Burke's pineapple. And that's where we're talking, where we go back into the well, Burke probably did it because JonBenet stole his pineapple, and it would have been right about that time. Okay. Now, they did when we get into the autopsy report, we'll talk more about it here. But there was pineapple found in her system, but just because the kitchen light was on, you know, does not mean, like we said, that's what happened. Now, the next line here says another neighbor claims she heard a scream sometime between midnight and 2 a.m., but she had said early in the investigation that she had nothing to add, but then changed her mind later. So now we've got two people stating that there was something going on around the midnight time frame, between midnight and 2 a.m. So
Oh boy. But you know what?
it was this. She had described the scream like a child. When a child gets mad and gets upset, or they get spanked and they're screaming and yelling. She said that's how she kind of described it. Yeah, and I do agree, Raven. He didn't have a violent history, and it was cruel to blame Burke, this 9-year-old boy.
He's got issues because of it. I mean, he talks about it all the time. I mean, it's you blamed for his sister's death at 9 years old. Yeah. Not only is his sister gone, his parents are grieving and no longer the parents he knew. Let's just face it. The day that JonBenet died, the whole family changed. The parents are no longer the parents he knew. He doesn't have his sister. He's being blamed. He's being cruel. He thinks everybody's looking at him. I can't even imagine the pressure on a 9-year-old boy like that.
His case got so bad that they actually won a defamation case against, I believe it was CBS.
Yeah, because of how they were talking about him, where everybody could hear, and they don't realize what it's all going to get back to him through children, through everything he does, like forever. Like that was not responsible of them, and I'm glad that they went after them for it. Actually.
And I gotta admit, like I said earlier, when I first heard about it, I thought he did it, but as soon as I found out how old he was and his size, I'm like, there's no way this kid did it. Now, there are other theories on why, but we'll get onto those a little later. Juju says, I have thoughts. Shay says, I have a theory of who did it, and my theory changed looking back at it again. To be honest, and I'll state this now, I believe it was someone the family knew, but I don't think that person is around anymore.
Well, let's read this last paragraph and then start a discussion. So this is it. December 26, 1996. John and Patsy wake up that morning at 5:30 a.m. to get ready for the trip to Charlottesville. On her way downstairs, she finds a handwritten note claiming that JonBenet has been kidnapped. She read a few lines, then screamed and ran to JonBenet's room and found she wasn't there. John runs down to check on what's going on and then checks on Burke to find him asleep. John tells Patsy to call 911. And so that's where we leave the day for that.
Now, you want to bring up that timeline that I sent you to? Because I want to go over this timeline too. This is a timeline of events from December 26th to 2021. Now, these are important informations we wanted to put in here. So.
But what I was going to say, how everyone has thoughts about this case, Jay. And as we're going, once we get the evidence laid out, maybe we should do our first roundtable in the Discord for people that actually want to discuss theory loud, and just hammer it out with everybody. And if you guys are all into that, let us know, because I think that would be good. So you can actually get your thoughts actually out about it, and we can discuss the evidence even in greater detail if you'd like. And just, do our first roundtable like casual style. Give you your murder minions perks for being so loyal, for following us around and just showing up here whenever you can, and just have a conversation with it. Yeah, I think once we get the rest of the evidence out, before we decide where we are at the end, right? Yeah. Before we end it, it'd be good. And I want to hear from them because they're all very bright. They catch things we don't. They've been following stuff too. Like, you guys are like us. Like, you could be up here. It's just like, and I'd like to hear what you all have to say. So, do you want me to start this, or are you going to start this?
I can start it out. So,
okay, you go ahead.
December 26, 96, we know JonBenet is murdered in Colorado. In Boulder, her body was found in the basement that same day. JonBenet's mother, Patsy, said she found a ransom note demanding the $118,000 for JonBenet's return. Why don't you go to the next one? We'll just alternate all the way down.
Okay, so January 4th, 1997, reports reveal that JonBenet's skull has been fractured.
April 30th, 97, police conduct their first formal interviews with John and Patsy. Now, that is interesting. And a lot of people don't understand why it took so long to go from December to April before they conducted the first formal interview with John and Patsy. Um, from what from what I've seen in the case, what I understand is because at first they didn't think John and Patsy had anything to do with it, so there was no real reason to sit them down for a formal interview. They took their statements, John and Patsy, John helped with the search party when his older son showed up. He helped with the search party, so there was no reason to sit down and conduct a formal type interview where they, in that type of situation.
And it just makes sense why they would, they're grieving parents. I'm actually glad they gave them some grace, that they're going to get better interview out of them anyway in the long run. Okay, so December 1997, Boulder police say John and Patsy Ramsey remain under an umbrella of suspicion.
January 15th of 98, JonBenet's parents declined to participate in a second interview with detectives, saying that they won't cooperate and the police allowed them to review the evidence in the case.
Because because they're suspects, they won't talk to them about what they're finding anymore.
Yeah. At this point, they've quit giving them updates on the case. Like I said, they're still thinking, they may have had something to do with it, and yeah.
So October 13th of 1999, this is quite a ways away. Boulder County District Attorney Alex Hunter states that no indictments will be issued due to a lack of evidence in the case. Look how long that is, Jay. Yeah. That is 10 months. What's that? 10 months? 10 months later?
Oh, a year.
A year and 10 months later, yeah. They're going to now say, okay, we didn't give you any evidence on the case. We never even talked to you about it, but there's going to be no indictments. Now, your child's been gone all this time, years. We're going to talk to you about what we found. You're entitled to it. Yeah. Can you imagine how that family must feel like this?
Yeah, I'd imagine it was horrible not getting any information,
not knowing what's going
on with the case, because they think you're part of it, and it's just like, no. So December 2003, a new DNA sample is submitted to the FBI database in hopes of finding new leads. Obviously, we know at this point that has not
right.
We have got no new leads here.
Nope, nothing's really panned out yet. June 24th of 2006, Patsy Ramsey, age 49, dies of ovarian cancer.
Yeah, that is part of a sad thing, because Patsy ends up passing away before finding anything out, and at this point, John may pass away before they find out. And that's what's heartening, because all these years later, you still have no idea who killed your daughter.
That's terrible.
So August 16th, 2006, officials announced that 41-year-old John Mark Carr has been arrested in Bangkok, Thailand, as a suspect in the case. Carr allegedly told an American investigator that he drugged JonBenet and sexually assaulted her before accidentally killing her. Prosecutors later dropped the case after DNA tests failed to link him to the crime scene. And from what I understand, too, there was, when we go into the autopsy, we'll know a little bit more, but I don't remember there being drugs in her system.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't remember
not that I don't believe so, but we're going to double check. July 9th of 2008, the Boulder County District Attorney, Mary Lacey, says no one in the Ramsey family is considered a suspect and formally apologizes in a letter to John Ramsey.
12 years.
12 years, and his wife is gone.
Yeah, it's taken 12 years for them to admit that no one in the Ramsey family was considered a suspect anymore. That had to be just brutal and agonizing. To think, you're getting no information, you're getting no help, they're blaming you, and then 12 years later, they're like, yeah, nobody did it. Nobody in the family is considered a suspect. We're going to drop it. Here's a formal apology.
For me, this is the heartbreaking part. Even if there was suspicion on any member of the family, to treat the whole family this way, with the lack of evidence, without discussing things with them, to just ostracize them this way during their grief, it's heartbreaking. It's just, I can just imagine the bitterness that Mr. Ramsey feels at this point. You're on February.
Yeah, you're on February.
I am? No,
Okay.
I just read
No,
about
okay,
the formal
February.
letter.
Sorry.
That
February
would me.
2009, the Boulder Police Department resumes its status as lead agency investigation on the case. Now, it started out with Boulder, took the lead to start with, then it moved to the FBI. So in 2009, the FBI turned it back over to Boulder.
Right. Okay. That's something. Now it's open again. October 2nd, 2010. Police investigators conduct new rounds of interviews.
Which, from what I understand, turned up nothing new.
Nothing but here you go. A couple of years later, Jay.
January 27th, 2013, the Boulder Daily Camera reports that in 99, the grand jury had voted to indict John and Patsy Ramsey on charges of child abuse resulting in death. But Hunter decided that there was not enough evidence to file charges and did not sign the indictment.
Wow. Okay. So that's heartbreaking. We apologize, but oh yeah, let's let this leak and ruin your reputation again, as if you're not heartbroken enough about everything and bitter enough about your treatment. So let's let that out there. Okay, so December 28th, 2016. After CBS airs a docuseries about the case suggesting that JonBenet's brother, Burke Ramsey, may have been the culprit, Burke files a $250 million defamation lawsuit against the network, the production company that made the documentary, and one of the experts featured in the special, Dr. Werner Spitz. Burke had filed a separate defamation lawsuit against Spitz in October, stemming from a comment the doctor made during a radio interview. John Ramsey later files his own suit against CBS in Michigan State Court.
January. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm glad they're fighting back.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like
January 2nd, 2019, following an undisclosed settlement, Michigan Circuit Court Judge David Groner signs an order of dismissal against the defamation lawsuit filed by Burke against CBS. Court documents appear to show that John Ramsey's separate lawsuit against the media company is also settled and dismissed on the same day.
So they did settle. So they came to some agreement. Okay. Nobody made statements either. There's nothing in writing that I can find about this.
Nope, they just kind of was like, oh, done and dusted.
Yeah. Usually that is when the larger companies have to pay out money and they want you to be quiet and they're just going to agree and you're going to get your apologies or whatever it is. And then, it's all under anonymity. Like it's got to be quiet, the whole thing. So December 20th, 2021. The city of Boulder releases a statement saying they have processed more than 1,500 pieces of evidence and analyzed nearly 1,000 DNA samples related to the child's murder. In the release, Boulder Police Department say they actively use new technology to enhance the investigation and check regularly for DNA matches in order to solve the case. In other words, as of the holidays this year, December 2021, just a few months ago, this is still an active murder investigation.
Now, there's a couple of things that were brought up here in the chat I did want to talk about here. So there is, Juju B says, I can see how a kid can accidentally kill a sibling by hitting them, not purposely. Just kids don't have the concept of how hard they can hit. That being said, I don't think Burke did it. That's true.
But there's more evidence that says it wasn't just the hit on the head. There's other things on the body.
There was more to it. Yeah.
That a 9-year-old may not have thought to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shay says they think they passed away already. I'm kind of in that same boat. I think that the person that did it is no longer around.
Right. I still think that it needs to be closed. We need to find out who, so the family can be vindicated.
Raven did say that I can see that Juju B. I'm sure it's happened, and it has. And then where are we at here? There was one. Juju B says it still has to be agonizing. The police cleared you, but the public hasn't. The heartbreak of losing your child and then be judged for it forever is just awful. 100%. I mean, how many people get crucified in the media, and turns out they had nothing to do with it, but now their career and their face just it's tainted from here on out, because unfortunately the laws do say you're innocent until proven guilty, but the court of public opinion is you're guilty until proven innocent.
Tell
And
me about
9
that.
times out of 10, the guilty until proven innocent is the one that sticks with you, because people will
Exactly.
say, the worst things when it comes to that, oh,
Mhm.
you paid off the courts, or this, that, and the other, or they
It
had
is.
money, so that's why they got off of it. If it
Right.
was somebody that didn't have money, they'd have been charged. And
Mhm.
you know,
And unfortunately, when you Google the case, just like you do many of these popular cases, the more high-profile cases, it is also the salacious, the horrible details that come up first. The accusations that are unwarranted, the grabbing of headlines, the media being irresponsible. That is the first thing everybody sees.
mhm.
Not the regular reporting, not the unbiased reporting, not the actual court documents or the real case, not even the statements from the actual police officers or anybody else, but all those salacious, grimy accusations against the Ramseys, about Burke, about anybody else that was getting investigated.
Yeah,
That
and
is
here,
what you see first.
yeah,
And that is pages and pages and pages before you get down to the real stuff. So when they say that media can prosecute you before you get your day in court, yes, they can.
100%.
Absolutely ruin your reputation, ruin your life. I'm done following Johnny Depp's defamation case right now. That man's career was over the minute he was accused. It's just now to the point where you can Google his name and that not be the first thing that comes up.
Mhm.
And it's been years. It's been
And
years. It's been 6-7 years. So
and we said, John's older son, John Andrew, he
mhm.
was, for a little while there, they thought he did it. It's like he was in Georgia.
I mean,
It
how
was,
about having to prove exactly where you are?
yeah, it's
Like,
like, how can you
yeah.
blame him? He wasn't even in the state. He was halfway across the country. They found out as him and his mom and and Melinda were getting on a plane to fly to Charlevoix,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to fight for them to get on the plane so they could fly to Colorado for this. They weren't going to let them get on a plane. They're like, no, you get us on this plane and get us to Colorado. My sister was killed,
Mm-hmm.
but then the media got a hold of, that John had an older son, and they automatically lambasted him for doing it. It's like, do you even read anything? I mean, he wasn't even in the same state. He was halfway across the country. How the hell did he do it?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way it works. Is you'll get people will claim things in the media, and will just and social media, for one thing especially, will lambaste you, and now you're guilty, and now you've got to fight to prove that you didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That is definitely crazy.
Shay says they contaminated the crime scene from the jump. Absolutely, and we will get into that when we do cover the actual crime scene itself, because that was horrible. The way everything went on about this. And then Juju B says the police were awful on this, but I think the parents made some purposeful moves to obfuscate the
Mm-hmm.
situation. I don't see that, but I can see where people would say that.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
just dropped the I'm sorry, I just dropped the link for the Depp trial thing for tomorrow too. There is like so much that there is like Shay's right. There's that series like the Trial by Media. Like have you watched a lot of that?
No, I
Like
haven't seen any of that yet.
I get so obsessed with it because I really do want to see the laws change back. It's not been that long. It's only been what, say, Jay, 20 years or maybe less since they changed the laws to where the media can't get prosecuted for this. You used to have to tell the truth if you were out there. It used to be more Walter Cronkite style, back old school, where truth mattered. And you had to back up what you said. It couldn't be all speculation and all of this, sensationalism and just say whatever you want and not worry about it. Well, they lifted those gag laws, these laws that were very, in our country anyway. I'm not sure about other countries, but here in the United States, they pulled all that back. They pulled all those FTC, guidelines and everything that made them actually accountable for the things that came out of their mouths, And now it's just a bunch of talking heads. They get to say whatever they want as long as the numbers are there.
Yeah.
And it's not good for our justice system. It's not. It's really not.
Denzel said it in an interview one time that I thought was fantastic. Because, the media used to be about truth first. And you got the facts. Now it's about who's first. It doesn't, even it doesn't matter that you're 100% wrong. You have to be first. If you're not first,
you have to be first. Yep.
You have to be first, and you can correct your mistakes later.
Right. And it's okay to have a channel or something and say, well, I'm just guessing, all right. But you're not putting it out there as information. You're not really the media, right? Yeah. Like Nancy Grace, she's a talking head. She's not actually a news reporter. She's not the media. She's not out there on ABC with a microphone speculating her butt off. She is later, after the fact, talking about what she thinks. That's different. Like, she does do that. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trying these people in the actual press, the actual AP press reporters, real people that claim they are reporters doing this stuff for sensationalism, the headlines that they use, the editors, the news releases, they are slamming them. They are actually.
I love Raven's comment. She says, "I am notorious for the that doesn't make any sense" comment, and it's true. She'd be like, where's it? Shay says, "Right, Raven. I'm watching the Pam Hupp series, and it boggles my mind that she actually succeeded at framing someone because LE had tunnel vision." I'm not sure what LE is.
Who is?
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement, yes, had tunnel.
And that's another thing.
It's crazy.
That happens with law enforcement. And I was just seeing something. I don't remember exactly what the hell it was that I just. But they'll lock onto somebody, and I was looking at some stuff from the old Criminal Minds show from season 3 when if you guys watched it, where Derek Morgan gets blamed for killing these 3 kids.
Right.
Because the cop didn't like him from when he was a teenager, so he automatically he did it 100%. And they weren't looking at
he was a bad kid.
Yeah.
He was a bad kid.
And they weren't looking at the actual evidence. It was how did Reed put it the best way? He said they are they're not looking at the theory of who the killer is. They're looking at who they think the killer is and manipulating their theory to revolve around who they think did it.
In other words, they're just like, they're trying to make everything fit. They're backing into a false narrative. It's called, like, you think you know who did it, so you just manipulate everything around. You're only using the evidence to point. You're actually, instead of it just being the evidence, you're actually just making it try to point to certain things and manipulate it in certain ways. And play, change your story that way.
That's it. That's it, Juju. They skew the evidence to fit their theory, not matching evidence to create a theory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to look at the evidence and have the theory present itself from the evidence, not this is what's happening. Let me just prove it with this piece over here and this piece over there. The evidence itself as a whole should present the theory first. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of funny questions. So Shay says Nancy Grace is speculation queen. Raven says she's queen bitch for sure.
Oh, she is. I wouldn't want her on my case, man. Yeah. I wouldn't want her off my. Yeah.
Juju then says, "I don't do Nancy Grace for facts and evidence. I do go to her for gross speculation and gossip."
Yeah, shits and giggles is what I call it. Like, if I just want to know, just like what? Like, if I want to go what?
Yeah.
Then I watch it because I do that a lot.
Shay says Chris McDonough is infamous for locking in on something and it is completely wrong.
Right. He will just go all the way on it and just refuse to look at anything else. I agree with her on that. He's very targeted that way.
And that is one of the things when I first started this channel. One of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to state all the facts that we could get, and give our opinions on the facts, but at least give the facts out, whether we think they're right or wrong, or if they have anything to do with it. But when we do our shows, and I know Claire's the same way, we want to give you all the information and let you make your decisions on what you think happens here. I will give my opinions on it, but in the end, with cases like this and the ones we normally carry on Monday, where it's all speculation, and we'll state, and we make sure we state that this is speculation. This is our thoughts.
Yep, and we're not lawyers.
And we do change our mind when things come to light that isn't, to that point where it's like, oh, okay, well, we speculated this, but this here proves.
Especially the live cases that are still going on.
Yeah.
Like the now cases like Morphu and Valo Daybell and things like that. Or Letitia Stosh, things like that. Because it's changing all the time and evidence comes up and things change. I mean, look at how Morphew is changing. You have me almost convinced on that one. But you got to go with what gets presented. We only have what we find out, right? We only have what we can go by, as far as evidence. But I do hate misinformation, Jay. Yeah. I hate those channels that are out there just like not giving the facts. Yeah.
Crone says watching the news is like watching a show that shows you a million stupid ideas but never give you the truth and what it actually is.
I know. That's the news these days. Yeah. Oh my God. I remember it didn't used to be like that. I'm sure she does also. I remember it. I remember.
Yeah, I remember when you go to watch you watch the news because you got the actual information.
I can't even find a news show now, like an actual 1 hour news show that's going to recap the day. I can't. Yeah. Is there one? Like, I don't know of one.
I don't know. Like I said, I tend to get my news from like Yahoo and MSN.
Oh my God.
And then I listen. I believe the ones where I can find the same exact thing in multiple.
I don't. That just is the AP working overtime. If I can find it, if it's in the first 10 things on the feed, I'm not looking at it. Go to page 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Never go to make
page
sure
1.
You go to page 2 because the first page, half of that is just ads. But going back to this case though, the Ramsey family they were prosecuted by the media, 100%, and because to be honest with you, a lot of cases that involved child abuse and child murder, a lot of them are the actual family member.
Yeah, I do. And I find it very difficult to cover children's murder cases. I do. Yeah. Because of that, because it's always someone close.
But when the evidence shows you that it's not, there's nothing in the evidence that shows you the parents had or the family had anything to do with it, but you still continue to lambast the family.
Right. The DNA alone kind of cleared them. So what's the deal?
And it cleared it early. And it's not like the DNA was like found like on her shoulder or something. It was found in places other people's DNA shouldn't have been.
Right. So they cleared them. Okay. The DNA cleared them, including the brother. So why were they being persecuted this way? That's what really gets me, because they had enough evidence to clear the family. It's they had to keep suspects out there to make it look like they're doing their job. They had to keep it. They had nobody else, and they're going and going.
I would rather them tell me they have no suspects.
I would rather that also than to go after the family.
At this time, we have this evidence, but nothing linking anybody in particular.
Now, just because they said they were under an umbrella of suspicion because of statements that they had given, and also because they pulled back and refused to cooperate anymore. They said, "Forget it. I'm not doing it because you people are like ridiculous, and you won't share with us. We're not going to share with you." And then you remember the news reportings that they did get their own private investigators. They did start their own investigations because they didn't feel that they were being fair to them, that they weren't. And so that's how they got information about their own child's demise was from a private investigator and from other interviews, talking to people and things like that. Well, it's very unfortunate. They were antagonistic. Instead of working with the family, they were very antagonistic, and it made it very, very unfortunate for both sides because there was no resolution. Still to this day, no resolution for the family or for the law enforcement.
Yeah, it's two funny things here. First, well, the first one's not so funny, but the second one is. Always Grateful says talking to a law nerd daughter, and she agrees that the parties of interest in this case are no longer alive. And I believe that. I believe that the person who did it is no longer with us.
Because you're always going to think it is someone around the an older person around the parents' age. You don't want to think it's a younger person. No.
Juju B says, "Don't blame him for that. Don't ever speak to police without a lawyer ever."
No, really.
That's one of the things I always say: keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, get a lawyer and all, but give the interview. I mean, give the DNA sample, give the interview with a lawyer present. Of course.
So they can't try to manipulate things.
Right. And I don't blame them for not wanting to speak with them without a lawyer. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, they just shut the door completely because of how everything is. That's true. As soon as you ask for a lawyer, they're like, "What do you need a lawyer for? You're innocent." We're like, "No, I need a lawyer because that's how the process works." And that's the process.
It's funny because
it's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
Crone just said, "But if you ask for a lawyer, then they think you did something."
Exactly. But that's the process. Like whether you did it or not, you should have a lawyer. You're guilty are not the only people that need lawyers. People that are going to get accused and stuff, they need lawyers.
GGB said, especially if you're innocent.
Yes, get a lawyer. Just get a lawyer. I mean,
To talk about another famous case where they really should have had a lawyer was the West Memphis Three.
Yeah,
the three boys.
Those boys.
Those three boys were interrogated for hours on end, to the point where they just finally gave in and said, "Yeah, we did it."
And that was it. They ran with it. And that was the railroading. Like, I don't know what. Like,
that case was railroaded bad because those three boys never stood a chance.
What that one boy, when he gave his testimony afterwards about, he would have said anything to get out of that room. He would have said he was terrified. He was wetting himself. He was like not eating. He would have said anything to get out of that room with them.
Exactly.
That's how horrible it was.
And that is a really bad thing because, for one, they were kids. Where were their parents? Why weren't their parents allowed in? Two, why didn't they have a lawyer? Or a child advocate, something. But they interrogated these kids for 14 plus hours with just the cops berating them without even having any kind of adult figure in the room, to the point where, like you said, the one guy was like, "I just said anything to get out of that room." They didn't let him eat, drink, use the bathroom, sleep, nothing. And and that's another case of they fixated on these three boys, and that's all they were looking at. And they were going to do everything they can to make sure that those three boys went down for it. A real good, if you want to get more into the West Memphis 3 case, I highly suggest watching Paradise Lost and Paradise Lost 2 on HBO. Fantastic documentaries that will walk you through everything.
Yeah, that was a rough one. And that is a good one. Yep, they were all over the age of 15.
Yeah. Always Grateful says, "My son, who is a Leo, says the tactic used by some officers to get people to talk when they ask for a lawyer to say why, we're just having a conversation."
Yeah, I know, but that conversation, every single word of it can be used against you. Whatever you're casually talking, you don't know what they're looking for. You don't know how 2 and 2 is going to add up, even though you think it's 4. You don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and that's not fair. And they're allowed to do it, and that's why you need a lawyer. The lawyer is going to keep you from saying, you can cooperate, you can talk to them, but you need a lawyer there because the lawyer is going to keep you from getting into a messy area with any of them. And he's going to keep the conversation to where it needs to be, in that you are cooperating. You got nothing to hide, but you're not going to get railroaded either. You don't know what they're trying to prove.
How many times have you seen a case where the cops were like, "Well, We
I
don't
watch a
think
lot of
you-
TV.
If you don't think you did it, but if you did it, how do you think this would have been done?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
you shut the
and
hell up. You don't
yeah,
say shit.
yeah. And look at listen. I watched The Shield.
Yeah,
There's no way I'm ever going into an interrogation room without a lawyer ever, because
such
they
a
were
good
some
show.
dirty cut. That was a great show, wasn't it? And
That
I
was
also watched The
fantastic.
Wire. I watched The Wire out of Boston. I watch all of those. I watch. Unfortunately, I do believe the police officers, 98% of them are good. It's that other 2% that are just ruining my mental, frame about it. Okay, because I've seen too much of it, and definitely just get a lawyer. Just have a lawyer.
Shay said because they were all over the age of 15, that's why they could talk to them without an attorney or parents, because of the age.
Mm-hmm. Because of their age, right? And that's unfortunate. But yeah. But anyway, so how we doing?
We're good.
This is good.
That was episode 1. Tomorrow night, be 10 p.m. I know some of you won't be able to make it because it is really late. We are going to be going.
It's either 7 or 10. It depends on Jay's schedule.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, unfortunately, it will be 10. But we're going to go over the 911 call, because that is the next step in the case evolution. And we're gonna a great website. It's down in the description here. It says statementanalysis.com.
Yes.
Click on that. That gives you the 911 call, and then they break down the things in the 911 call, and that's what we're going to be covering tomorrow.
Yep.
With that, so that'll be an interesting thing. And then once again, next Sunday we'll be going over the ransom note, and there is a lot of things to be said from there. I will tell you right now, I will be pulling a lot of my information for the ransom note from True Crime Garage. Which is linked in the Spotify.
That's a great account too. You got that down there, right?
Yeah,
that podcast is wonderful.
Yeah, it is in there, and I will be getting a lot of the information from on that next Sunday from True Crime Garage. And I do want to thank them too, because that's where the timeline of events from 94 to the date, I pulled that from True Crime Garage. That's why I wanted to make sure that I got them listed there for that, and then and make sure that I talk about them here, because those two guys over there are Nick and the captain are fantastic. What they do with their cases is phenomenal, and they do have a 5-part series on the JonBenet case. And I will admit, I will be pulling a lot of stuff as we go through from them, because they do so much their due diligence, but I won't be pulling exactly things, but I will go through and give highlights from that. But there are we also got searchgirl.com, which is a good thing if you want to go. If I remember right, that is the one that's got, that is the one. It's got, so Searchgirl is the one for the 911 call. Statement analysis is where we're going to actually read it
for the handwriting. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And now,
they also did the handwriting too, right?
Yeah. Search Girl is where we'll go over like the audio analysis of the tape, and a couple of different things from that one too. And then of course there is JonBenetRamsey.com is there. And if I wanted to bring this up, because if you look up when you click on that website and you click on, it says Cora Files and Reports, you click on that, it will give you an index of the Cora Files, which is a series of documents obtained through the Boulder District Attorney's Office under the request of the Colorado Open Records Act. That's why I put that in, because Claire loves that shit. And then the JBRCE pages and case topics index, which will take you to the Search Girl thing. So that is, like I said, that is a fantastic website to go to. If you're looking for that kind of information. So, and those links will be in, should be in every one we do here from here on out for the rest of the series.
I'll copy them for the other one tomorrow too.
Shay said, "Sorry, y'all, I'm a nerd."
No, don't apologize. We love it, man. Like, we are nerds too. I read this stuff for breakfast. I got like 3 lawsuits I read yesterday.
Yeah.
Serious.
So join us tomorrow night, 10 p.m. If you can't join us, make sure you watch the replay so you can keep up with what we're doing here. Thank you, Claire, for joining us. joining
thank
me
you.
once again. Thank you all in the chat. Great discussions in the chat. Thank you so much. This is one of the reasons we like doing this, because we do get some information out of the chat that we didn't know ahead of time. Like I did not know that, because, like Shay said, because of the West Memphis 3, because they were over the age
because
of 15,
of their age,
they didn't need. I did not know that. So
they did not need their parents there, which was unfortunate. They didn't need a representative. But yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a long day tomorrow. It's going to be a big legal day tomorrow too.
So thank you all for joining us, and until next time, I still didn't pull my outro over.
It's okay.
Grateful's going back to golf now.
Okay, I'm just going to drop that link for tomorrow's live coverage for starting at 9 a.m. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. That's going to be a long day, but it's going to be good.
Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you for coming.
Yep, and see you tomorrow at 10 p.m.
Yeah. Juju says, thanks, guys. I want to say it's a fun stream, but that always seems inappropriate. And we understand.
But we know what you mean, because sometimes we know exactly, because sometimes we'll crack a joke or whatever, and then you feel bad because of, but that's part of the discussion. We're all, it's been many years, and we don't take it that way at all. Hopefully you don't take it that way when we do it either.
Yeah.
It's not meant that way at all.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Good night, all.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your family.
Yes.